What is the difference between needs and a habitat? So, to differentiate the two, if we say needs, it is a term for the position of a species within an ecosystem, describing both range of conditions necessary for persistence of the species and its ecological role in the ecosystem. While the habitat is a place where an organism makes its home, a habitat meets all the environmental conditions that an organism needs to survive. To cut it short, it may be said that the habitat is the organism's address and the needs is its profession. The ecological resilience is the capacity of an ecosystem to cope with disturbance or stress and return to a stable state. The concept of ecological resilience is consistent with the notion that ecosystems are complex, dynamic, and adaptive systems that are rarely at equilibrium. Most systems can potentially exist in various states. Moreover, they continually change in unpredictable ways in response to a changing environment. A resilient ecosystem can be better withstand shocks and rebuild itself without collapsing into a different state. Ecosystem change can occur suddenly if the resilience that normally buffers change has been reduced. So, if an ecosystem's resiliency is reduced to cope up with disturbance or stress, expected that there will be a sudden change in the ecosystem. Such changes become more likely when variables erode. The variables include the diversity of species and their abundance in the ecosystem, and regional variability in the environment due to the factors such as the climate. All of these variables are affected by human influence. If the abundance of the species in a certain ecosystem will decrease, some of the energy and nutrients will not be converted into a useful product that can take up by some organisms. The ecological threshold is the point at which a relatively small change or disturbance in external conditions causes a rapid change in the ecosystem. When ecological threshold has been passed, the ecosystem may no longer be able to return to its state by means of its inherent resilience. The crossing of an ecological threshold often leads to rapid change of ecosystem health. Ecological disturbances are individually distinct events, either natural or human-induced, that cause a change in the existing condition of an ecological system. Disturbances can be described in terms of their type, intensity, spatial extent, frequency, and other factors. Natural disturbances have natural causes, such as wildfire, floods, drought, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions. Natural disturbances can do a lot of damage to an ecosystem, even killing plants and animals. But natural disturbances are nothing new, and the effects are usually temporary and the ecosystem will eventually recover. In human-induced disturbances, these type are caused by humans. Human activities operate as dominant drivers of biodiversity change and disruptions of ecosystem processes, such as illegal logging, rural and urban development, and road building. The ecosystem, just like what I've said earlier, it consists of all the living and non-living things in a specific natural setting. Plants, animals, insects, microorganisms, rocks, soil, water, and sunlight are the major components of any ecosystem. As shown in the figure, there are two types of ecosystem, namely natural and artificial, or what we call the man-made ecosystem. To differentiate the two, there are several differences between natural and artificial ecosystems, including sustainability and purpose. A natural ecosystem is the result of interactions between organisms and the environment. It has a diverse amount of species and plants, whereas artificial ecosystems are limited. Natural ecosystems are self-sustaining and result from spontaneous natural reaction, while artificial ecosystem would perish without human assistance. In natural ecosystem, we have the terrestrial ecosystem. This refers to a land-based community of organisms and the interactions of biotic and abiotic components in a given area. This includes the different terrestrial ecosystem, namely forest, grassland, and desert. Under the forest ecosystem, we have deciduous, which is a biome dominated by deciduous trees, which lose their leaves seasonally. Another is the oldest living ecosystem, the rainforest. The rainforests have four structures. Let's start from the bottom. The forest floor, understory, canopy layer, and the emergent layer. Rainforest has two types, the tropical rainforest, which is a hot and moist biome located near the Earth's equator, and the temperate rainforest, which is located in mid-latitudes where temperatures are much more than mild than the tropics. Another is the tundra. This biome is located in polar regions or on the tops of high mountains that are frozen and snow-covered. And the last one is the taiga. It is a forest of cold subarctic region. Subarctic is an area on the northern hemisphere. The grassland ecosystem is an area that are continuously dominated and covered by various grass species. And there are three types of it. The savanna type, which is a tropical grassland present in areas that have a warm climate with a rainy and a dry season. Temperate grassland. This is the most famous grassland in the Midwestern and Western United States, known as the Great Plains. And the third one is the steppes. This is also a type of temperate grassland, but it has a distinct seasons that are warm to hot in the spring and very cold in the winter. Lastly, the desert ecosystem. Desert may seem lifeless, but in fact, many species have evolved in special ways to survive in a harsh environment. It covers more than 1/5 of the Earth's land area. There are four types of desert: hot and dry desert, and it is classified as being hot throughout the year and very hot in summer. Second, semi-arid. It is more defined than in hot and dry desert. Summers are reasonably hot and dry, and rainfall in winter is minimal. Third, these deserts are found in areas that are moderately warm to cool. Winters typically are cool and brief, and summers are long and warm. Lastly, the cold deserts. The main source of precipitation is not rain. As in other types of deserts, the moisture comes in the form of snow, ice, or fog. Many of these deserts are found at high elevations and support little life. Another is the aquatic ecosystem. It is an ecosystem in a body of water. Communities of organisms that are dependent on each other and on their environment live in aquatic ecosystem. The two main types of aquatic ecosystems are the marine and the freshwater ecosystem. The marine ecosystems are among the largest of the Earth's aquatic ecosystem. The marine ecosystem covers 2/3 of the surface of the Earth. According to the World Resource Center, coastal habitats alone account for approximately 1/3 of all marine biological productivity, and estuarine ecosystems are among the most productive regions on the planet. The freshwater ecosystem is the subset of Earth's aquatic ecosystem and defines as having low salt concentration. Under the freshwater ecosystem, there are two fundamental types, namely low tick, meaning the water is freely moving. For example, streams and rivers, while the lentic, meaning the water is stationary. For example, is the ponds and lakes. Before I end my lecture, I just would like to leave a message quoted by George Shaw. Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. Thank you for listening.
Plants and animals survive, need each other. A group of organisms in their environments, an ecosystem like a tide pool, desert or Amazon rainforest. Both big and small, yet they're still all ecosystems, organisms, and environment. And communities on populations of all species in a particular area together living. While an ecosystem has the soil, water, sun, community is biotic, only living component. And what's a biome? They're based on climate. A group group of ecosystems like rainforests or tundras. The energy flows through ecosystems. Stars as light from the sun. Each level exists as each laws for ecosystems to survive. Need energy, constant supply. Energy begins as sunlight, transferred through organisms. Some lost a seed with each time. What happens to matter along it's making its way through? The matter is recycled, each atom is reused. Each time assembled into new chemical structures, recycled from one organism onto another. Balance required for all things survival, like the food chain, nitrogen, water, carbon, and oxygen. These cycles vital, so organisms keep living. So let's be aware not to impair these natural ecosystems on the planet. Living organisms are one of 3 different kinds. Producers make their own food process using sunlight. Consumers like us humans are food we cannot make. Decomposers like fungi feed on waste, and what's a biome? They're based on climate. A group of ecosystems like rainforests or tundras. The energy flows through ecosystems. Stars as light from the sun. Each level exists as each laws for ecosystems to survive. Need energy, constant supply. Energy begins as sunlight, transferred through organisms. Some lost a seed with each time.